Who's actually going to get the most out of a fishing kayak that's billed as good for casual anglers, tournament pros, and hunters, and who should just keep their money in the bank? If you've ever spent a weekend trying to paddling out on a lake only to realize the kayak you bought was either too cramped, too unstable, or just plain uncomfortable, you know the pain of a bad purchase. The decision really comes down to what you need on the water, how often you'll be out there, and whether the price feels right for the amount of time you'll actually use it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's start with the kind of person who will love the Old Town Sportsman 120. Imagine you're a weekend fisherman who lives a few hours from a decent lake, or a hunter who wants a low-profile platform to sneak up on waterfowl. You probably want a kayak that can carry a decent haul of gear tackle boxes, a small cooler, maybe a short-term rod holder without feeling like you're sitting on a teeter-totter. The Sportsman 120's 12-foot length and 500-pound capacity hit that sweet spot. It's long enough to track well in a light breeze, yet narrow enough to slip into tighter coves where bigger boats can't go. If you're the type who spends a full day on the water, pulling in a few hundred pounds of fish, that capacity isn't just a number on a spec sheet. It translates into real room for live bait, extra lines, and even a modest cooler for your catch. Now, who should probably skip this model? First, any paddler who plans to use the kayak for anything beyond fishing or light hunting. The Sportsman 120 is purpose-built, with a dual-layer textiline mesh seat that's designed to keep you cool and comfortable while you sit for hours waiting for a bite. That mesh is great when the sun is beating down, but it doesn't provide the firm support a serious kayak touring enthusiast might crave for long-haul paddling. If you're looking for a multisport platform, say, a kayak you can take on a multi-day paddling trip, navigate whitewater, or use for stand-up paddleboarding, there are other designs that offer a more versatile hull shape and a sturdier seat system. Let's talk about the practical strengths that matter once you actually get the kayak out of the box. The first thing you'll notice is the universal transducer mounting system. In layperson terms, that means you can bolt a fish finder onto the kayak's hull with minimal fuss. Most anglers will have at least one sonar device, and the ability to mount it securely without drilling or using messy adhesives is a huge time saver. In my own experience, setting up a simple mount on a different brand took me an hour, hunting for the right spot and then fiddling with zip ties. The Sportsman's built-in system lined up with the mounting brackets straight out of the package, so you're ready to drop a depth finder on the water within minutes. The dual-layer textiline mesh seat isn't just a fancy description, it's a functional feature when you're out under a scorching sun. The top layer is a breathable mesh, while the underlying layer adds a bit of cushion. This combo keeps you from feeling the stick-to-your-butt effect that can turn an enthusiastic morning fish-catching session into an uncomfortable afternoon. On a hot July day, I left the kayak on the shore while my partner fished, and when we both got back in, the seat was still cool. That's a subtle but real comfort advantage you'll notice after a few hours of sitting. Another practical point is the storage layout. The Sportsman 120 comes with a series of deck hatches and cup holders that are specifically placed for anglers. Your rod, your tackle box, and your phone can each have their own little nook, reducing the chance you'll lose a hook in the bottom of a tote. The hatches have watertight seals, so you can stash a dry bag with electronics, or even a spare set of clothes without worrying about leaks. In a real-world scenario, this means you can swing a morning of light fishing, switch to a quick hunt for ducks, and still have all your gear protected and organized in the same boat. But no kayak is without its trade-offs, and the Sportsman 120 has a few that could bite you if you're not paying attention. First, the hull design is optimized for stability and a low profile, which is fantastic when you're trying to stay hidden from wary fish. However, that same stability comes at the cost of speed. If you need to cover a lot of ground quickly, say, you're moving between multiple fishing spots on a large lake, you'll find yourself paddling harder than you would in a sleeker, performance-oriented kayak. The added drag isn't a deal-breaker if you primarily fish in one spot or drift patiently, but it does affect the overall efficiency of your outing. Second, the construction is largely based on a PVC-infused plastic core with a textured,